Everyone, even the gay community is now getting in on the Bud Light boycott. It's absolutely insane. We're going to break down just as to why they're getting in on this. But before that, everybody, I'm Phares, and you're watching Speechless. So, yes, the gay community is getting involved in the Bud Light boycott, but it's for a different reason than you think. And to get into that, we got to start off with this story first. Out of Fox Business, the CEO of Anheuser-Busch distances themselves from Bud Light in the Dylan Mulvaney controversy, saying this is not a formal campaign. This was just about 3-4 days ago. CEO Michael Ducaris says Bud Light only partnered with Dylan Mulvaney for one post and that it was not an advertising campaign. Okay, maybe it wasn't a full advertising campaign. The CEO also is a CIA operative. We already covered that in a different episode, so make sure you go back and watch that one. But Anheuser-Busch CEO Michael Ducaris added the Bud Light controversy on an earnings call with investors Thursday, downplaying the brand's partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney that prompted a boycott from conservatives. Ducaris told investors there is misinformation spreading on social media about the company's team up with Mulvaney. Oh, it's misinformation, isn't it, man? It's just misinformation. That's such a liberal catcall now. You want to know how somebody is being a super lib or something is by calling everything they see, everything they don't like, misinformation. He said, we need to clarify the facts that this was one can, one influencer, one post, and not a campaign. The CEO said Anheuser-Busch is providing direct financial support to the frontline workers impacted by the boycott, naming delivery drivers, sales representatives, wholesalers, bar owners, and servers. Ducaris said the brewing giant will triple media spending on advertising for Bud Light over the summer, confirming reports that the company is planning a major marketing push to recover its brand. Good. You should have a major marketing push, but you wouldn't need to spend all this money if all you did was apologize, make a serious, heartfelt apology, a genuine apology to women, real women, and to your consumer to which you lied to in the first place. You wouldn't have to spend all this money. The other thing, too, is I feel for the delivery drivers, sales representatives, wholesalers, bar owners, and servers that might be hurting because of this boycott. I feel for them. But unfortunately, the message that we need to send needs to hit the people at the top. And to do so, it's got to hit some of those people in the middle as well. And so I pray that those that are impacted by this, that are just the workers that had no actual say in all of this that happened, I pray that they come out even better and stronger on the other side. It's awful that they have to be impacted by this, but we need to send a message to the people at the top of Bud Light, of Anheuser-Busch, that we will not accept this crazy gender ideology being pushed by the companies that we patronize. We will not accept them doing so and lying to their consumer and saying that they support us. They do not support me. They do not support, likely, you, the viewer. They definitely do not support women. And so we need to send that message. Carrying on, Bud Light remains embroiled in controversy after the brand sent Mulvaney a personalized pack of beer with the influencer's likeness as part of the ad, blah, 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 blah. We know all that, right? We know all that. The backlash led the brand to shake up its marketing team, and Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth published a lengthy statement hoping to tamp down the animosity aimed at Bud Light. Alas, none of this is going to actually fix it. All they have to, what I really think would help, what would make me be okay with Anheuser-Busch again, is if they made a genuine apology saying we are sorry to women and we are sorry to the consumer for taking such a divisive stance. Through, yes, maybe it was just one influencer, one post, one thing like that. It wasn't necessarily a full-blown ad campaign. We understand that, but that doesn't change what you did. That doesn't change that you are supporting this divisive ideology that has no basis in fact or reality, that is pushed by a secular woke left that hates people like me and you. Period. But moving on from that, because they're trying to distance themselves even the slightest bit, Chicago gay bars have begun to boycott Anheuser-Busch as the brewer shuns Dylan Mulvaney. This is out of the New York Post. 5 Chicago gay bars, it's kind of local. I'm from the Chicago suburbs originally. 5 Chicago gay bars are boycotting Anheuser-Busch for distancing themselves from transgender social media star Dylan Mulvaney after his April 1st collaboration drew conservatives' ire and calls for Bud Light's boycott. Sidetrack Bar in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood shared its boycott plan on Instagram. Let's take a look at that real quick. This is Sidetrack's Bar, what they say they're going to do. So for 41 years, Sidetrack has encouraged liquor and beer companies who have wished to garner LGBTQ's customer base to actively support our community. For many years, there were very few companies that were willing to risk this sort of exposure. Sidetrack appreciates the relationships that have developed with brands that support us. This support helped fund initiatives to pass city and statewide human rights ordinances in Chicago and Illinois, blah, 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 blah. Basically, we get to the end. We must also hold brands accountable if they take active steps against LGBTQ equality, visibility. Bud Light's recent decision to drop Dylan Mulvaney's campaign and put on leave those who created it, as well as the statement by its CEO, wrongfully validates the position that it is acceptable to acquiesce to the demands of those who do not support the trans community and wish to erase LGBTQ plus visibility. Okay, first off, let's get to that. I don't wish to erase your visibility or anything. If anything, we need to show mainly the trans community. We need to show that so we can show people, hey, we have a significant sector of society that needs help and we need to help them. But helping them is not affirming your gender, is not saying that you are a woman despite the fact that you were born a man. That's not help. Help is saying, hey, let's sit down and talk about why you believe something that is not. Anyway, Sidetrack will cease to the sale of Anheuser-Busch products, including Bud Light, and Goose Island 312. Until Anheuser-Busch can clearly demonstrate that they will not acquiesce to the voices of hate. I do not hate anybody, period. I want to make that 100% clear. I do not hate you if you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I want to talk to you. I want to have these conversations. I invite you onto my show. Email me, everybody. If you have anything to say about this and you want to have a honest discussion about the LGBTQ plus community, here's what you can do is you can email me, got story tips, questions, ideas for the show right at the bottom, right there. Email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com. Email me. I want you to, because I want to have these conversations. If you disagree with me on the gender ideology, email me. We'll get you on the show. We'll talk about it, okay? Let's do it. It'll be amazing. Anywho, let's keep going a little bit with this story. So, Sidetrack Bar is no longer going to be doing the Anheuser-Busch products. Okay, whatever. A lot of others in Chicago have done the same thing. Two Bears Tavern, Uptown on Instagram, posted a very similar. I'll show that one on the screen too. They have put a very similar statement out right here. And let's make sure we get this all pulled up. Yep, right here is that Two Bears one. Very similar. The CEO's statement in which he all but erased transgender people in favor of anti-trans vitriol was cruel and hurtful. He never intended to be a part of the discussion that divides people, was tantamount to saying that the rights and safety of transgender people are topics worthy of debate. Okay, rights. Let's talk about that. What rights are not being afforded to trans people that are being afforded to others? What rights are being afforded to trans people that are not being afforded to others? That's the first thing. What rights are you talking about right here? Because a trans person should have every single right that I also have. And then safety. Who's threatening their safety? Anybody who's threatening the safety of a trans person for being trans, you are a bad person. Do not be threatening somebody's safety. Genuine safety. You should not be sending death threats. You should not be in any way threatening anybody for being for whatever their identity or what they claim to identify as. You should not be having any kind of violence, genuine violence or threats to violence for that. We need to call out the abandonment of truth that the transgender ideology supports, but we should not be threatening anybody's safety. And again, I think let's wrap this whole thing up. Okay, so the gays are boycotting Bud Light, right? So they're boycotting Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. And there's they're like I said, there's 5 different gay bars doing this in Chicago. And they're doing it for the opposite reason, because they think that Bud Light is trying to come back on their statement. Yeah, they're obviously trying to backtrack, but they're not doing enough, in my opinion. Here's the 2 things. First, I don't understand why the gay community, I think the LGBs have a better argument, and not even necessarily argument, but topic of discussion for their movement. Sleep with who you want to sleep with. In the Bible, it's he who is without sin cast the first stone. Everything like that, that's okay. But and we can talk about that and gay rights, everything like that. But when you're denying basic fundamental truth, when you have people that claim to be a woman but they are a man, or vice versa, then we need to have a conversation. Because if there is no truth, then what is there? If it's okay for a person to claim to be a man when they're a woman, what's to stop them from saying they're black when they're white? Or they're disabled when they're not? Or that they're a dolphin or a lion or a shark or an Apache helicopter? What's to say? Who's to say? Who's to make that decision? If there is no truth, if you are not what you're born as, if there is no biological imperative, then who's to say that you can't be literally anything that you want to be? Who's to say that? Not I, said the Kevin, because there is no truth anymore. But that's the first thing. Is I think those who it's about their sexuality, LGB, lesbian, gay, bi, you do your thing. And I think it's Dave Chappelle has a great comedy sketch about this, where he basically says that they should separate themselves from the trans rights movement, because the trans rights movement makes no sense. It denies fundamental truth. Secondly, the second point I want to make about all this is, good, have these bars boycott Bud Light. That's just more that the brand's going to lose until they actually apologize to real women. The gays are getting in on it. Maybe it's not necessarily for the same reason, but it has the same end. So go for it. Go for it. See how much more money they lose. Everybody, this is just a quick cut for time speechless. I had to cut this for my show yesterday, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. That is the most important thing. We got to get these messages out there. We got to defend basic truth. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Kevin the Phares. You can check me out there. If you want to support the show, do everything at the bottom. Maybe check out, there's some videos that are going to be coming up over here. You can subscribe right around here as this video ends. So check some of that out. Do that. Share it everywhere. Really appreciate it, guys. Until next time, this has been Speechless with Kevin Phares.